Hello, I'm Panos Kotzalhanasis, and this is Asian Movie Pulse Interviews. Today I'm here with Jud Willmont and Nicholas Scott, whose film Requiem for a Martyr won an award in Filmapalooza and Chelsea Film Festival, among others. How are you feeling, guys? Everything okay?
Yeah, great.
Okay, okay. So, first, you are based in China, right?
Yeah, based in Shanghai.
Okay, okay. And how is it shooting film there?
Judd, you want to take this one?
Sorry. Oh man, I love shooting in Shanghai. We've been doing it now for 25 years, a little bit over 25 years. I moved to this city, and it was unlike what I expected because I studied a little bit of film in school, and when I came to China, I didn't really expect to find that here. Um, but when I did, I was really pleasantly surprised. And ever since, it's just been great. It's like every project you're working with old friends, but you're also meeting new friends. People are really good at their craft. People take it seriously. They love what they do. There's pretty much like there's everything here that you need, maybe just not the way you think you need it. So if you can be a little bit flexible and keep the goal in mind, like you're making a film and you're telling a story, and maybe they don't have this piece of gear or they don't have that piece of gear, but there's always another way to do it that works.
Okay, okay, sounds interesting. And how did you decide to shoot a short that like follows the path of an epic movie? Usually, short movies go for other approaches, but you went for an epic.
um I'll let Nick take this one.
Okay.
Thanks. So we made this film for the Shanghai 48-hour film contest, and Judd and I have been participating in this competition for about 10 years now. And each year we get a little bit more ambitious and a little bit more ambitious. Um, and a couple of years ago, when we shot this, we decided to kind of go all out, and we found a Qing Dynasty mansion that is just incredible. It was so beautiful. And so the way the 48-hour film competition works, you gather all your resources before you know your genre, before you know your characters, before you know your story. So we knew we were going to do something in this Qing Dynasty mansion, which was so beautiful. And really, like, finding that location set the tone for everything that followed. And we realized, okay, let's try and do something like a traditional Chinese drama. Okay, that's a cool idea. But the talent that we had Western and Chinese talent. We have a really diverse talent roster in Shanghai just because it's such an international city. So we were thinking like, okay, what kind of story would be appropriate with foreigners, with Chinese in an ancient setting? And that kind of gave us the idea, okay, let's do something with the Jesuits. And Marvin Bouvet, our lead actor, he's actually a professional stuntman and action coordinator. And so we're like, okay, let's do a little bit of fighting in the mix as well. So really, the shape of the film just came from all the assets that we had and all the talent that we had available, which was amazing. And it kind of we threw it all into this strange soup, and Requiem for a Martyr was what came out of that.
Well, since you mentioned the cast, how did the casting work? How did you find the actors?
So we've been making short films in Shanghai together since 2013, I think. And so over time, you find talent, you keep talent, you find people who work in certain roles. So we've been building a talent roster for over 10 years. So everybody, I think, in this film, no, that's not true, not everybody, but most of the talent we'd worked with before, we're friends with them, we're comfortable with them. So we've built a kind of repertory theater kind of group.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, and why did you choose a particular era, the Ming Dynasty time, and in general, what was the inspiration behind the story of the movie?
I would say it was the location that really determined that. when we saw that we had access to this house, we just kind of knew that we had to make that the cornerstone of our production and essentially make sure that everything revolved around that. Technically, it's a Qing dynasty house, but for us, we weren't really thinking about historical accuracy per se. We were just kind of going more for a tone and a mood. So even Ming Dynasty is kind of vague and abstract. It's really, we just think of it as sort of ancient China, like imperial China.
Okay, okay. And where exactly is this location?
We're in downtown Shanghai now, and this location is located, it's Qingpu, right? Nick, was it Qingpu or Minhang?
I thought it was Songjiang.
Oh, it's like there are these western districts of Shanghai that are technically part of Shanghai, but they're kind of out on the western edge, and Qingpu, Songjiang, and Minhang are all really kind of clustered around each other. And so it was sort of like on the edge of one of those. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Songjiang. In fact, I'm sure of that now. Songjiang is also interesting. It's completely unrelated, but Songjiang is quite famous for the old 1930s Shanghai backlot. So Songjiang does have some film elements associated with it. This particular house that we used though was unrelated to that, just coincidence.
And was it difficult getting permission to shoot there?
No, it was the easiest thing in the world because so when we went out there because we had a friend who was based out in Songjiang, and I had gone out there and done some PR things for him and his company and interacting with the government. The government's always looking for opportunities to sell themselves to entrepreneurs and investors to set up shop and do something. And so Songjiang is one of those places that's like that. And I went and I was invited to participate in one of these government ordeals. And that's when I met this guy who was kind of a go-between. And he brought me in and introduced us to these guys and told us a little bit about what he was doing. And in actuality, what we were looking for was a bamboo forest. We thought we would go do some like wuxia thing in the bamboo forest. And we knew that they had bamboo forests out there. So I called the guy and I asked him if he could introduce us to a bamboo forest, which he said yes to. And so we went out there to look at a bamboo forest, but as soon as we saw where this guy was based, because he wasn't there previously, he had just moved in. And in fact, that was also part of the opportunity. They had just moved in. They were about to do a renovation. The space had been bequeathed to them by the government to use as their office. And they were about to essentially like design the interior. And we said, oh, no, wait, do you mind? When are you going to do that? Because we love it exactly the way it is. And it was just one of those fortuitous situations where the timing was perfect. The opportunity was there. We didn't really know that that's what we were looking for. But when we found it, we knew that's what we wanted.
So you said finding and getting permission of this place was the easiest part. So what was the most difficult part then?
Oh, there were many difficult things.
so shooting a 7-minute period piece with special effects, blood, makeup. We had a boat, so we're very ambitious, oftentimes too ambitious as filmmakers. And so we started writing this Friday night at about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. We finished the script, which we were happy with, at about 3 a.m. in the morning, Saturday morning. Then we drove to our location, loaded in at 4 a.m. and started shooting because the opening scene with the bridge is sunrise. And then we shot all day until about, 2 a.m., 1 a.m.
It was two. It was two when we finished our last shot. It was three by the time we packed everything up and people were driving away.
So a 22-hour shoot, and then still no rest. We drove another hour back to home base, and then we basically edited from about 4 a.m. Sunday morning until the film was due, which was Sunday night at 6 p.m.
Wow. So that's cutting it close, right?
Oh,
Oh, super! Every
extremely.
time, they say it's like, how long does it take? It's never about how long does it take. It's how much time do you have? And you're doing you're doing it right when you use every second.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'll give a different response to the what was the hardest part though. Not getting any blood on the building was like a really big important deal, because a lot of times if you're in a studio, it doesn't really matter. It's all going to get torn down anyway. But this was like an authentic house, and we had to respect that. And it's actually like you hardly even notice it because it's the flashback scenes. But when we shot those flashback scenes, it was the last thing we shot on the shoot, and we were throwing blood all over the place to get some of those sprays, and we had to wrap the whole room in plastic, and even then it was like a little dicey. We really didn't want to get any blood on those ancient stones, and so making sure that we achieved that was certainly something to be mindful of.
And one of the themes of the movie is the conflict the protagonist feels between his oath, his religion, let's say, and saving his friend. How do you feel about this concept?
Yeah, so one of my major inspirations for the film when thinking about the story, have you ever seen Martin Scorsese's Silence?
Yeah.
Wonderful film. I love it so much. And I love the crisis decision that the character has to make at the end of that movie, which is to give up his belief for other people, which in a rich irony is the most Christian thing to do, right? Self-sacrifice for others. So when I was writing the story, I wanted to put my character in a similar situation, right? I wanted to test his faith, but ultimately I wanted his decision to be about sacrificing himself and becoming a martyr, right? From the title. So that was really my kind of inspiration for putting that character in that place.
And regarding the treatment of foreigners by the locals at the time, what's your opinion on the subject? Because half of them are for them, the others want to exploit them, so it's a bit ambiguous.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm not sure if we hewed to history so much. It was much more loose in our opinion. But yeah, we had such a big cast. We wanted the priests to be accepted by some of the Chinese characters, but then hunted by some of the other Chinese characters. I think really to show a complexity of viewpoints. Because I think so much in the world today, people get in trouble by oversimplification, right? It's them versus us. They are bad. We are good. And I really wanted to resist that and write a complex story.
Okay. And can you tell me a bit about the fighting scene? Let's say how you saw that, because the whole sequence for me is the most impressive part of the movie.
Yeah, thanks. We worked with Kirtan Hummelin, our director of photography, and he's just sensational. So we knew we could have a very cinematic look. And so we wanted to push for things like really interesting lighting shots with the lightning in that end scene. We wanted to express ourselves with extreme close-ups. We thought that would be really interesting. And I think just like in terms of the violence, we knew we didn't want to do like a very choreographed fight scene. but we wanted the drama and the tension before the violence. So I think we looked at a lot of anime, actually. Okay, how does anime build tension right before the violence? Because in anime, or maybe like a spaghetti western, there's 5 minutes of buildup and then one very quick moment of violence. So I think that was the biggest inspiration for how we thought about storyboarding that scene and arranging the shots and getting everything ready for the final moment.
Okay. And can you tell me a bit about how is the movie industry in Shanghai, particularly regarding short films? Are there opportunities? Would you say enough?
Jud, you want to take this?
I mean, it's a little hard to say. I don't necessarily consider ourselves experts in the industry so much as I like to think of ourselves as working on trying to perfect the craft. We're still working at understanding and learning the industry a little bit better. I think historically Shanghai, or at least in our modern history, Shanghai has been a very commercial center and a very commercial hub in China. So advertising has been kind of the mainstay for people who are making a living in this kind of work. Most people in narrative find themselves up in Beijing, where the movies are getting made, or at least the financing for the movies is coming from. And then short films in general, I think what we've done is we've sort of been part of and we've helped to foster a community of indie filmmakers who are definitely like cutting their teeth on short films as is the case with us. We don't really look at these short films that we're making as any kind of like commercial opportunity so much as we look at them as more of an opportunity for us to explore our filmmaking capabilities, tell stories and put stuff out there into the world. And then use that opportunity and the experience that comes from that to then possibly go and do feature films or television or some of the other things that are the sort of thing that you could actually work in. And that is there is a lot of that here. Our struggle is that we're trying to do things that we kind of resonate with, that tend to have high quality standards, both on the storytelling and on the production. And we're still sort of finding our way in the market here in terms of where we think we can fit in best.
If I could add one thing about the kind of Shanghai indie film scene and the filmmakers here. Shanghai is one of the great international cities in the world, and the filmmakers here reflect that. We had people from our cast and crew includes people from 10 different nationalities: China, America, Canada, France, the Netherlands, Serbia, Russia, Ukraine, Colombia, and Australia. So anytime we make a production, it's so international, and that's so Shanghai.
But how does please go ahead.
No, and I was just going to say that in terms of finding our place, I think that's kind of mostly where we're rooted, is some sort of like an international presence in what is effectively the most international city in China.
But does it make sense financially? I mean, from how much you need to spend for a movie like that and how much you can get in the end?
Oh, that's a great question. I think anytime you make a short film, because no one's investing in short films, oftentimes, I'd say 99% of the times, it's the filmmakers themselves who are putting their own resources into the project. But we try to be very smart in that we have a lot of friends in the indie film community. So we mainly rely on our friends to get things done, beg, borrow, steal. So all of our career for the last 10 years has been working up, trying to get better and better, higher production value. And with this project, I'm not sure I remember what the budget is, but it was quite low. because so many of our friends just wanted to make a great project. So we weren't paying day rates. We weren't paying people for their time. Everybody on the cast and crew volunteered for their efforts. So I think most of our budget was paying for food, transportation, wardrobe, things of this nature.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and also I think, I mean, we do have opportunities to work in commercials and in advertising, and that's again what a lot of people are doing. And so it's even more of an incentive to do something like this, because it is so different from the normal kind of opportunities that you're going to have. So if we can do a couple of projects here and there for clients who are financing those films, then it's certainly worthwhile for us to take some of those proceeds and put it into something like this, where we get a lot more personal satisfaction out of it.
Okay, okay. And regarding future projects, are you working on anything new yet, or?
Yeah, we actually have a backlog of films. So we released Detaching a few weeks ago. We released Requiem for a Dream last week. Next week, we might be releasing a director's cut of a film we made for the Shanghai International Film Festival last June. And we're also finishing up a horror short that we shot in a LED studio, which was a lot of fun. That was a great new experience. Salt Studio helped us out, and just having access to that kind of toy was really exciting for us.
Okay, okay. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you as well.
Anything else?
We appreciate, we appreciate what you guys are doing in terms of supporting the filmmaking.
Thank you. Thank you. So good luck with all your projects, and hope we talk again in the future.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Have a nice day.
Absolutely. We look forward to that. Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks, Panos.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.